spotlights on the front of it to light up the road for the snow, and obviously what we were seeing overnight was the horses and things like that.
So big lights.
Yep. Rally 2000s, I think they were, or 4000s, one of the two.
How many were in the car with you?
3 of us. But anyway, as we're coming down the road, there's a straight set of road, and we sort of looked at each other, there's bloody deer on the road. We got closer. I thought, it's a horse. It's too big to be a deer. And I looked, and it's got to be a deer. It's got antlers on it, which sounds funny. And we slipped the brakes on the truck, and we come to a complete stop. And this thing stood in front of us, probably 30 metres, if that. It looked up, and now when I said it still had like antlers on it, but what it looked like, the best way to describe it, you ever watch an old cowboy movie and watch the cowboys and Indians, right? Indians travelling across the prairie with their skins and whatnot over them, buck skins and that over them, and still got the deer head and that, and they still got the antlers and that on them. That's what I looked. It looked like somebody put a bloody thing on it. I looked down and I said, we've got a fucking idiot with a monkey suit, and we've gone, looked at each other, and we've looked back, and we've gone, it's too big to be somebody in a gorilla suit. And it just sort of seemed like it was coming up the road at us, like up the middle of the road.
It was walking up the road?
Walking up the road, just like up the road. It was just like coming across up the road and there in front of you. And we've just gone, holy fuck. And I said, do you see that? And they looked at me and it's gone, depends, do you see what we see? And I'm going, what do you see? And we've gone, a really big furry thing in front of us, and that was it. And then what it did was, as we were coming down, it then turned to our left or its right and took like 1 step, 2 steps, and over the railing it was gone. So we've got out, like we've rolled the car down and I've got mag lights and that, and we've got out and we've looked over the edge trying to see where this thing's gone, because the mag lights are pretty good and we couldn't see nothing. We're standing there, and I think it was sleeting, if I remember correctly. I know that. I know it was bloody cold. Yeah, no, it was sleeting. Within about a minute or so of flashing the lights around and whatnot, out of the dark, down below, there was this, like, undescribable... Have you ever seen a pig get stuck with a stick? Like a scream, like, snarl-type noise? Yeah, and we've just looked at each other and said, I don't give a fuck what it is, I'm out of here. And we all got in the car and we pissed off. And then we said to each other, we're not going to talk about this. This is like between us. That's it. But people are going to think we're nuts. So the next day, Steve, who was one of the blokes with me, is up there, and he's talking about it. And I'm sitting there and I said, oh shit, so he's copping on and on with this ribbon from the locals about it. You idiot, this is going to go on all night. And he said, ask the boys, they were there. And they looked at us and said, we don't know what we've seen, but it was about 8 foot plus. We're sitting in the truck and basically looking out the window and up at him. And it was like light coloured grey. And the guys were like, I said, mate, I don't know what it was. All I know was it was on 2 legs, it had something on its head, and it went over that fucking edge, and it was 8 foot at least. And the 3 of us were there, and we all seen it. And I said, we don't know what it was, and we left it at that. And we got the ribbon for about a week after that. You see some strange shit of the night, and you think, oh yeah, that's it. Put it down to being tired and whatnot. But this thing, it was just like driving down the road, and we've got a Brumby in front of us, and it wasn't a Brumby, and we're going, oh no, it's got something, it's got antlers, it's a deer, and it's not a deer, and it's walking straight at us. And when as I said, looked at it, was like long fur, a light colour grey, with like tinted black, like a streak of black through the fur. I'm calling it fur, that's all it was. Couldn't really see what the face was, but the scariest thing, like, we didn't seem down about it, but when we got out of the vehicle and started looking over the edge, and we heard that sound, mate, even in there I'd get goosebumps. It was like...
Kind of paint the scene. Was the road kind of steep slope down road or a level section?
Oh, it was probably about a 10 degree, 20 degree type. Probably as soon as about 60, 70 yards in front of us. And, because you're coming down those mountains, particularly during the winter, you've got to watch out for all these idiots on the road or in a mad rush to get up there.
So you're not fanging it. You're kind of going fairly carefully.
No, you're sitting on probably 65, 75 k's an hour, less when it's snowing.
You can see in the distance this thing in the lights.
You see something there, and as I said, mate, you get so used to seeing deer and horses and that down the road, and the brumbies coming across. If you'd be going wrong, this one you're a brumbie coming across the road, and that's what we thought. We thought we'd come up behind something. And then when we got close enough, it was about 40 yards or so, 30 yards in front of us, and I've physically stopped the vehicle, and it's just looked at us. It's just stood there and looked at us. And it's just gone step, which was like it was probably about the middle of the road, if that. It's taken one step, and then the second step he was gone, over the edge.
The shape of it was like a human shape or something different?
Like, it wasn't like defined shoulders, like like cut-edge type shoulders, like a bloke who's standing there. It was, how would you describe it? Imagine standing there, getting somebody there standing in front of you, like a distant big person, and putting like a sheet over the top of them, like it was like rounded, like broad, round shoulder, rounded top head type thing.
And you said this thing was was at least 8 feet.
At least 8 feet, yeah. Mate, I'm sitting in a Ford Explorer. Like when you're sitting up in that, you're sitting a good 6 foot thereabouts, and I'm looking out the window. Well, we're looking out the window, and we're still looking up at him a bit. When
you say you're out the window, you're looking out through the front window. That's
front windscreen.
It's full on in the lights. What was the closest you got to it? You said you kind of stopped the car.
Well, I reckon we were about 30 yards thereabouts.
It was a solidly built thing or thin? You know what I mean? Like a
solid, really solid.
Bigger at the shoulders and tapered in, or was it pretty much solid all the way down?
All the way down. From the shoulders down, it was big. And long arms. Like when he stepped, it was like it was like he was going as quick as he was there, but he was just like the arms were sort of straight. It was sort of like as he's taking the step, his arm was sort of like calf sort of move. It wasn't as free as like you and I move our arms when we run. It was more like oh shit, there's something in front of me when it's looked up at us. It was just sort of like wandering up the middle of the road, and all of a sudden there's a car in front of you. Like the old saying, it's nothing like a stunned deer in headlights, and it was the same sort of thing.
So you think it saw the car and got a bit stunned? I mean, did it actually stop?
Like he's in the middle of nowhere, it's pitch black, bleeding, and next minute there's headlights in front of him, and we've stopped. And it was just like, oh, what's that? Oh, shit, I'm out of here.
Yeah, this thing actually did stop in front of it. Like, it wasn't a continuous motion walking up and then going off the side.
It stopped and looked at us. It was there.
When you're saying a grey, are you thinking...
Grey, white with like tinges of black through it.
So it was quite a lightish colour.
Yeah.
When you're looking straight at it, you saw arms as well as legs?
Yeah.
And were they short arms or long arms or kind of the same proportion as a human?
Like big, like just long, solid arms. Like it said, like it only lasted like probably all up from the time he stopped to the time he went over, probably about 15 seconds. Like it was, sounds quick, but it's a long time.
Yeah, that's a long time. But how long did you have it in view as you're coming down the road? Additional time? Was that another 5 seconds or 10 seconds maybe?
20 seconds. It was like you ever been walking along a track yourself and you like you're thinking, and you just next minute you look up and go, oh shit, there's a tree there type thing. That's the sort of reaction we got. Was we were looking at it and we thought we were running into a walking tree. It was just like oblivious to where it was or what it was or whoever it was, and next minute we've come across each other and we've basically given each other the same reaction. It was like, oh shit.
As you're looking at this thing in front of you, you mentioned this thing of antlers. Are you really talking about, in my mind I'm thinking, are you talking about hair that's sticking up, or what was giving you that impression?
No, like it had, imagine skinning a deer's head and leaving the antlers on and wearing it over the top of you, draped over the top of you like a coat. And that's what got us. We thought it was a horse, and then when we got closer we could see, that's how close we could see these antlers on it, and I'm going, what the fuck? He's got antlers coming out. No, it's not. It's like a skin or something over the top of it.
It was wearing something.
Like a wet leather jacket. And I'm just like, what the hell? Like over the top of his head and draped across the top of his shoulder type thing. I was like, it was like putting a bloody skin on top of him. You ever had picking up a sheepskin and putting it over yourself and ducking outside? Or a jacket? That's what it looked like. And I thought, you're kidding.
How was the cover on it? Was it just sort of laying over it, or was it like...
Laying over it, just sort of like, put it over the top of yourself to keep dry. Like, you're ducking outside into the rain, you grab yourself a towel or something.
Was it holding it, or was it just draped on either side? It wasn't holding it with its arms?
It wasn't holding it, it was just sort of draped.
It's really interesting.
Mate, I don't even follow these stories, so I'm telling you what I see. It was just like...
I mean, what did it look like?
It looked like skin.
Yeah.
It looked like somebody skinned a deer.
So when you're talking about antlers, you were saying antlers were somehow on the skin.
Yeah.
And the antlers were sticking up.
Yeah, like still on it, like still got the head attached.
Could it have been carrying a carcass of something, or?
Could have been, mate, you wouldn't know. Once we got sort of in, it could have been sitting over his shoulder for all I know. And the head was draping over the shoulder, but like what we could see, it was sort of like sitting on his head. You understand why we never said anything?
Oh, yeah, I can. Looking at it full on, was the head kind of the same proportion as a human head, or was it different? You know, did it look different?
No, it was sort of like big around the body of the main facial area of the head, like what would be the ear area, but it sort of tapered up a bit, and like then you couldn't tell because of, like what was on top, like what we thought was carrying the deer.
Are you sort of saying that, like, that whatever was over its head was sort of also hiding its face to a degree, or was that wasn't
like
that?
It was sort of draped up over the top and sort of come down the forehead a bit.
Like a hood?
Yeah, like a hood, trying to keep the weather off yourself. It went over, stepped over the metal railing, which is about 2 foot, 2.5 foot, but he took one step, and the second step he was over the top and gone.
When you pitched the lights down, you couldn't actually see it.
Couldn't see nothing, mate, but we got this bloody scary sound come out of the bottom, like a scream, and like, as I said, like I've been pig hunting, and I've heard, you know, pigs get stuck, and you know, get a big door and they make that sound, and that didn't, you know, nothing, it didn't even sound like that, but it was like, you know, bugger off and leave me alone.
Big volume, something with a big volume?
Yeah, and it came deep from down the bottom of the hill sort of thing. It was like, yeah, you know, it was just like undescribable, right? It was just like a real big screech, thundery type. It scared the shit out of us.
Yeah. How long did the screech last for?
No, it was reasonably long. It was probably a good 10 seconds.